Welcome to your Life Spear Podcast, episode 5. Today is November 16th, 2023. Today we're on the fifth component, which is a letter R in Spear, which is resources.
Resources. It's funny because I notice almost every time, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like one of my favorite ones. I love Spear. Spear is my favorite thing. So I might say that every single time. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones, but it actually is. I love the whole thing, the whole concept, right? But yeah, resources. So what do you think when you hear the word resources? I think about money or business or anything that helps you get through life, either financially or physically or anything. Like, for instance, if you want to go to the gym's a resource if you want to get in shape, or if you want to, go make money, your business is a resource, or your job is a resource, or your network is a resource. But most of the time we're going to be talking today is going to be talking about money or business or how to be resourceful in your life.
Right. So let's talk about one of the components of AC Mars Ps and how it applies to resources. So resources we've talked about in the past is the ability to what I call resourcefulness. So resourcefulness, you want to describe that, Kenny?
Yeah, resourcefulness. So I'll start off by quoting a Tony Robbins seminar that we were just watching. So the difference between somebody that's resourceful and not resourceful, or has a lot of resources and doesn't, is somebody that's resourceful and doesn't have any resources. Their biggest resource that they have is them being resourceful, them going out and finding the resources that they need to make it to the next level. So I have a small experience when I in my business. My business started off in California in the solar industry, but I made a jump and I made a big risk. I took a big risk by moving my family and everything back out to Utah, and had operations still going in California, and knowing or kind of trying to expand to Utah, but over time it's like, okay, my business is small. Like, I don't really have the resources to continue to grind it out in California and have guys there because I'm the main guy, but I live in Utah, all this stuff, blah, 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 right? So eventually I'm like, all right, cool, let me just go full time here in Utah. And I struggled a lot. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any sort of like all I had as a resource is me being resourceful. My knowledge I have and the networking experience that I have, being able to build up a network of people and recruit and build up a business here. And I've been through a lot since then. I've been through a lot of struggles, up and downs, failures, rejection after rejection after rejection, just all these different things. But since I moved back out here, my biggest resource was me being resourceful, being able to go and find the things that I need to take my business to the next level. And here I am, and things are going amazing. And now I have a ton of resources now, not other than me being resourceful, and I still use the tool of my resourcefulness to go and get other resources, or to use my resources to a way that's going to benefit me still.
Yeah, so what I want to talk about is the component of sacrificing. So we've talked about in the past the law of sacrifice. So sacrificing something of value that you have doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily, but it could be your time. But something has to be sacrificed in order to get something of equal or greater value. So applying that to your life. So what have you done to sacrifice? I mean, you talked about cells. You're in cells, and what have you done to sacrifice to refine your life spear, that component when it comes to resources?
Yeah, it just depends on what kind of industry you're in. Because if you want to make it successfully or financially in life, you're going to have to sacrifice some things, man. Because you don't just start out by being successful. People either going to go to college and work their way up the corporate ladder, or get into business or get into sales. And right when you start out, either like whether you just graduate college or whatever, but any situation you're in, right when you start out, you're not successful. You don't have that. You're not making that much money. But there's a lot of people they're happy right there and they stay there, dude. And it's whatever floats your boat, you know. But me, on the other hand, I'm gonna sacrifice the 9 to 5 to go and crush it in business. I'm gonna sacrifice I'm gonna sacrifice being comfortable in my daily life to go, make another way and see success there. There's a bunch of things you sacrifice. The more success you want, the more you need to sacrifice. And the main thing that I feel like you sacrifice is comfortability when you're aiming to get or climb up that ladder in any industry or any route you're going down.
So let's talk about business. So business and sales is simple. You're providing a solution to a problem. I always say a perceived solution to a perceived problem, right? Perception is reality. So what it comes down to is your ability to provide a solution and at a reasonable cost. So if your margins are big enough, your sales can drive your business. And sales, we all know, is the lifeblood of every business. So, accounting wouldn't exist if it weren't for sales. Any type of management wouldn't exist if it weren't for sales. So sales is definitely the lifeblood of any business. So having that ability to persuade is definitely a key component to being successful when it comes to resourcefulness. So resourcefulness also has to do with the ability to persuade others to combine and work together collectively, because collectively we're better than we are individually, and we can accomplish a lot more. So the other thing about resources is you have to have a plan. Fail to plan to fail, right?
Because when I moved my business out here, I didn't have a plan to actually keep my business out here and actually scale out here. I kind of just had a plan to kind of keep my business running elsewhere. But like you said, plan to fail or fail to plan to fail. You're planning to fail if you don't plan at all, pretty much. So, and that's kind of what I did. But you don't really recognize that when you're in the process of doing so. I learned from my mistakes. I learned from trial and error. But when I was able to do that and do it successfully, it took me a while. It did take me a while. It took me like a year and a half actually, to actually realize that. And then I had a plan that I actually knew, and I gained clarity. Like in AC Marspeed, I gained clarity. I had a plan. I started measuring my progress, started building my network, started networking, started doing all these different things. But it's all actually a part of my plan and what I needed to take the next step. So planning is super crucial to any part of your resourcefulness.
This is what I want to say about business. Business, like I said, is very simple. It's providing a solution to a problem. So what I learned, so my background, I want to talk about my personal experience when it comes to business and it comes to providing a solution to a problem. I would say it started with on my mission in serving in South America and Paraguay, and being able to, that's where I found fulfillment and joy in serving others. But I also found I learned to love hard work and sacrifice. And so coming home from my mission, being able to apply that to the rest of my life, that's actually where AC Marspeed and Spears, Your Life Spears, comes from. So it all started there, and that's where the principles that we're learning about, these are experiences that's the way to know something is to feel something. That's the best way to know something is feeling is understanding. And so when you've had the experience, there's really nothing that can change your mind. So applying that to business is really simple. So you come home and you find what there's a need of, and you provide a solution to a problem. And it's when it comes down to business, it's that simple.
Yeah, and when it comes to starting, actually, when you want to go down a certain path, you like everybody starts from somewhere. I don't care if you're Tony Robbins, MLA, like everybody starts from somewhere, and you have to. So a mantra or a motto that I used to I still live by right now, is if every year I trend up in what I'm doing, whether if it's financially or working out or whatever, but under my resources. Every year, this is actually, you can actually apply this to your sphere, your life sphere as well, every aspect of sphere. this year, actually this year's about to end, so you can start doing it the following year, which is next year. How is my next year starting to look like? Is next year, am I going to be able to look back on this year and be like, hey, or the next year, am I trending up? Am I trending up from where I was at? So I've been back from my mission, almost 7 years now, 7 years in February. And coming back from our service mission, it's a really big milestone, a really big set point from us starting something. Because when you come back from remission, you have no phone, you have no car, you have no money, you have no job. You literally have nothing. You're just serving for 2 years full time in another state, another country, or whatever you're assigned to serve at. So you have nothing. You're starting from literally the bottom. So I like to say my set point is my mission. I like to say, hey, it's been almost 7 years since I've been back. What was I able to achieve since I've been back from my mission? So every year I'm able to be like, hey, I'm trending up this year. When I came back, I had a job. Okay, and then I got into sales right away. And the following year, I was in sales ever since I got home. I've been in sales. Every single year, I'm making more money. Every single year, I'm doing better. I have a business venture every single year. There's only 1 year out of all the years where I took a dive. And that was when my life spirit was so out of whack. Like my relationships were failing. My physical was failing. My spiritual failed. The first thing that failed was the spiritual because of COVID. Not saying that COVID was an excuse or a justification, but a lot of people kind of went down a really bad path during COVID. Couldn't go to church, you couldn't do anything. So spiritually, I fell physically, I fell psychologically. My relationships, my marriage, it was starting to fail. Everything was starting to fail. So that year, I definitely didn't trend up. I trended down. But since then, I got back on my life spear and kind of made a turn for everything else. I'm able to trend up, 5 times. But making sure that my spear was on point. Because once everything, I'm telling you, I've been through it. Me and Patrick both been through this in multiple times in our life to where we know that this stuff works. And something that we're going to be talking about in a lot of future podcasts are a lot of personal experiences. Like today I talked about, my marriage screwing up along with all my other spear stuff screwing up a few years ago. And then my business moving out of California. And then Patrick's probably has another personal experience. We want to talk a lot more about personal experiences. And we also are open to asking, or we're open to answering any questions you guys ask us. So send us a voice note through our podcast, reach out to us, and we're able to hopefully help and help guide you down in the right direction.
Yeah, so I want to talk about, I guess, my background when it comes to resources or business.
Oh.
So my background is in real estate and in law. So I would say I'm a autodidact, self-taught. So had the experience of going to, after I got home from a mission, so I learned 4 languages, and after coming home, transition into becoming a paralegal. And so my goal was to go to law school, and had some changes, and the changes came in having to provide for my family rather than going to law school. So I did that, and one of the ways I did that was I recognized that I could hire attorneys, and the attorneys could work for me, and so that's what I did. Eventually started a law office and help manage that, and did that in 2008, and then also had the experience of because I had the experience of becoming a paralegal, I recognized what happened with in 2008 with the meltdown, and recognized that there were some disparities on the secondary market and the way the banks were working. And so we were able to capitalize off of that, and help in the process, help a lot of people out. So in addition to that, I've also had the opportunity and a blessing really to help hundreds of people out in getting into their physically the best shape of their life. And so what I learned is that providing a solution to a problem is really that simple. And those are different aspects of that being applied in business. It's really simple. I mean, if someone is in a bad situation, and if you have a solution, so I had that experience in helping people come to long-term success in whatever it was they're trying to succeed in. And that's the physical component. So I had trainers, trained a lot of people, but I recognized that it wasn't my space anymore, because I recognized that I didn't have enough solutions. Because I recognized that a lot of people had underlying issues, that it wasn't that they were overeating just because they didn't know how to eat. There were actually underlying issues, and so had that opportunity to help those people out, and so what I'm coming at now to is Kenny, is that doing this podcast is a blessing. It's a blessing to, hopefully a blessing to others, to help lift up others and learning how to gain long-term success and happiness in their life. But it really is a blessing to me and to us to be able to share these experiences and help lift up others.
Yeah, so tune in next week to the next podcast, where we'll be going over AC Marspi's principle, a little more depth. We're going over the first two principles, which is action and clarity, and breaking those down and kind of dissecting that. And make sure you guys tune in. Don't miss it. Some super unique stuff, and we'll catch you guys then.